Hello DIYers, Danny Kruger here with FCP Euro, and today we're going to be showing you how to replace the cam plugs on your M272 V6 or Mercedes M273 V8. So if you've been pulling up to a stoplight or a stop sign after a longer drive and you get a burning oil smell in the cabin or even when you exit the vehicle, it's super common that these cam plugs are going to be leaking and dripping down onto your exhaust of your M272 or your M273. It's a super straightforward replacement. We're going to hop into it right now and get to work. For tools today, couldn't get a whole lot easier than this, just a good flathead screwdriver. So first things first, I'm going to recommend you pop the hood up into service position, whatever vehicle you're working on. Super easy on Mercedes. There's a red button located on the side of the hood strut over here. You're just going to squeeze it inwards and then push the hood up. This is already in resting position, so I'm just going to squeeze this, press upwards, and you'll hear it lock into place. There we go. And now, as you can see, we have a lot more room to work over here. Okay, so now that we have the hood in service position, we're going to start by removing the front cover here. Just pulls straight off, no problem. You can tuck that off somewhere safe. I'm going to leave it right on the ground here. Next, we're going to remove our intake snorkels. These usually just twist off. These ones are pretty damaged, so I'm just going to finagle them as gently as I can. As you can see, there's a twist lock on these, so you can just kind of spin them off. Boom. So we have both of these. And then last but not least, we have the hose for the secondary air pump. You're just going to pinch and squeeze and just pull it straight off. Now, without further ado, our engine air filter housing can pop straight upwards. There is an O-ring that seals on the mass airflow sensor back here. So you're going to feel that fight you a little bit, but you can kind of just pull upwards at the front and then at the back. And we have removed our air filter housing. So now we have everything exposed that we need. So on the M272 and the M273, we're going to have generally 3 cam plugs. We're going to have one little one on each side of the cylinder head and then one bigger one on the driver's side. So we're going to start on the driver's side with one of our small ones and our larger one. So these cam plugs back here, as you can see, there's a ton of oil around them. It's pretty clear that these are a point of leakage, but if you aren't sure, very easy test is wait until your engine is cool so you're not going to hurt yourself. Just take a finger, stick your finger underneath the cam plug and rub the cylinder head behind it, and if you come up, you've got a lot of oil and grime and grit like this one does. That's a pretty good indicator that your seals have failed on your cam plugs and you're going to want to replace them. So moving into our first replacement here is going to be the little guy. All we're going to do is take our flathead, create a little bit of space. These ones are going to be a little bit brittle. Oop, fell straight down, but that's okay. We're not going to need that where we're going. And then we'll just grab our replacement from our FCP Euro kit and insert it straight in. If your engine is warm or you just shut it off, it's possible that there's still oil in the cylinder head. You may get a little bit of spillage out the back, but that's not anything to worry about. Okay, so we have our replacement cam plug right here. Just going to insert it exactly how we removed the other one. Gently press it in. We don't want to break any of the plastic tabs. And you'll feel it just seat nicely. You don't need to put any excessive force because the seal itself will hammer itself home. So we put a little extra force on that, and as you can see, it sits mostly flush. You are going to have a little bit of a lip on all of these, just because that is how you remove them, but that right there is about as far as you'd be looking to push them in. All right, next, moving on to our bigger plug. Again, if you do have a vacuum pump on your vehicle, you're not going to have this guy. This one you can barely see. It's so caked in oil, so we're definitely doing a good service today. I'm going to try and catch this one rather than drop it like I did previously. So again, we removed that one a little bit more forcefully than necessary. These ones are pretty ancient, and as a result, they're fighting us a little bit, but usually you can just pop them directly into your hand, or if they do fall underneath, again, it's not the biggest concern. All right, and same thing again, we have our replacement plug. Just going to place it in the back of the cylinder head, make sure everything goes in nicely and smoothly, and we're just going to coax it into place, put a little bit of force on it to get it to sit flush all the way around, and that one is flush. We're probably going to hit this with a little bit of brake clean and wipe things down back here as this is very messy. And of course, that'll make it easier to monitor if we do have any additional leakages from something like not seating these all the way. But these two over here, as you can see, pretty much exactly as flush as we'd want them, and they're good to go on this side. Now we're going to move over to the passenger side and take care of the last one. And our last cam plug, of course, is going to be right over here. But while we're in here, I do want to address this guy right over here. This is the oil drip tray. This is a part of the centrifuge and PCV system. It's actually your high load. So when you do high throttle input, this is what's doing the crankcase ventilation. These will also very commonly leak. So if you're also seeing oil, if you get underneath the car, or again, if you do your hand check, run your hand underneath, and you find a lot of oil, just like I did just now, it's a very good indicator. You're going to want to replace this guy as well. We will have a PCV and centrifuge DIY coming for you soon, in which we will do that, as well as the oil drip pan, which sits inside of that cover. But these are also a relatively easy service. It's just 4 E-Torx or Torx, depending on your year, bolts that remove that, and then you replace it. The same cover is actually sold in our cam plug kit if you'd like to purchase that there as well. But today we're just taking care of the cam plugs, so without further ado, pop out our last one here. Again, we're just going to pop that off. Okay, assist it a little bit more. Now we have our replacement yet again, nice, clean, fresh. I'm going to just insert. So we have it seated, and then since we have the clearest view, I'll show you here, I'm just going to put my hands kind of all the way across the face of it, so we're putting even pressure, and just gently coax it home. And you see it slide into the slot there. That is the rubber seal that had failed on our old one. That is kind of seating into place. That's what that last little bit of resistance is, but this one is as home as we'd want it. Again, we're going to clean up the surfaces here, and we'll definitely have to revisit this oil drip tray over here in a later video. Okay, so that is going to take care of all of our cam plugs. So now we can just start putting things back together in reverse order. First, we're going to grab our air filter housing. And the only thing to be careful of on this is you do see this O-ring up around the top of this mesh screen. You're going to want to make sure that that sits properly atop your mass airflow sensor. If you get a bad seal on that, a lot of the time it'll cause kind of some interesting drive dynamics, like a vibration at idle, or also kind of low end power loss. So what I like to do, move this hose out of the way, get things situated, and then actually sneak my hand in back here and guide as I press down so I can feel it seal onto the mass airflow sensor. So you'll see, if you look in here carefully, as I press down, it sinks onto the mass airflow sensor, and it seals right around the lip. So I've got that on there, and by association, when I did that, I locked it in on these front 2 mounts. This is now fully on. Do not forget your secondary air pump hose, otherwise you may get a check engine light for the emission system. This, again, you can pinch and just wiggle its way on. So we have our air snorkels here as well. We're going to pop these on. These ones are pretty brittle and old. We're actually probably going to replace these in a second here, but for the sake of showing you, they just kind of twist lock on. You want to make sure that they're seated on the inlets that are at the front of the grill here. So they actually kind of tuck in. We're going to slide one on as well on this side. This one is actually pretty heavily damaged. I'm not sure it's going to sit properly, but we get it on there, lock it into place. We have our front cover. There are 2 little locking dimples up here and then brackets up here as well. So we just kind of loosely put it into place, gently press on it, locked into place, not going anywhere. And that is going to wrap up our cam plug DIY. So we are now fully back together. This is going to work on your M272 or your M273. And ideally, we're going to have a lot less of that oil odor emanating through the cabin after we get the vehicle up to operating temperature. So if you found this DIY helpful, or if you want additional M272 or M273 DIYs coming your way, feel free to like, comment, or subscribe down below. We'll see you in the next one.